Today I have a rather interesting artifact that I found in a piano store, and it's this thing up here. What this is a birdcage action, which was a very common action that you'd find in England and other such places about 100 or so years ago. These were found at upright pianos, and this is back in the days before they even would put a metal harp in pianos, so it was relatively early in the piano's construction. And this is what they used before they came out with the traditional, more modern upright piano style. And as you can see, it's much different. They call it a birdcage because we have all of these wires here that kind of resemble the birdcage wires if you have a bit of an imagination. And what those do is they actually lift the dampers off the strings. And so basically this part here comes up and then it tilts the damper away from the string, and as the hammer would slide forward like so and strike the string. People who have these basically have a full-time job of repairing them, because as you can see here, there's lots of parts missing. They commonly break, and there's lots of hammer stuff. But it's still kind of cool to see what these looked like, because birdcage action pianos are extremely rare, and they're very hard to find. But people who have a birdcage action usually really love it because it's so unique and so unusual that you don't see it every day. Here's a close-up of the birdcage action. We're up here at the end where there are no dampers, so the wires are out of the way. As you can see, the frame of this action is simply put together with screws, and over time I could imagine that with humidity changes and whatnot, and perhaps even moves, these screws would come loose, parts of the frame would come loose and fall off perhaps in time if you never did any work to the piano, and that is part of the reason why these actions were very undependable. Also, parts would simply break. Back in the day, everything was pretty much like handmade. There was no machines really making these parts, so if you broke a part, you couldn't just go to a piano store and get a new one. You'd have to go to the original dealer and get a new part, so the original maker. So that's another reason these actions are difficult to repair. They're very cool looking though. Oops. So here we go down at the bass end, and yeah, it's basically the same construction all the way through. But you can see here, as now that we're up close, this is basically how how it works. The key end will push up this rod, and which then would lift up the wire, which pulls the damper back, and at the same time, on this one it's broken, but on other ones it makes the hammer swing forwards and strike the string. So it's a very interesting design. There's actually an adjustment up here for the damper, I can see. So I guess if it wasn't hitting the string, you could loosen up the screw and move it around or something. It's very unusual. Many of the bridle straps have broken and gone missing over time as well. So you can definitely see that this is a old action. This piano also has, or this part of a piano also has ivory keys, which is another sign that it is definitely very old. You can see here it's got the ivory grain, and just has that ivory feel to it as well. My fingers are really sticking to it. Ivory keys are nice on pianos. The black keys appear to be made of ebony or some kind of wood, so that's pretty cool as well. So I hope you find that kind of interesting. It's just an unusual thing that I found in my travels. And if you like that, you can go check out my content. I have lots of videos about me playing pianos and doing reviews on them on my channel. And if you like that kind of stuff, you might want to think about subscribing. So I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.